5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, with a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislator Frost,
Here.
Legislator Calamus,
Here.
Legislator Mosher,
Here.
Legislator Leindecker,
Here.
Legislator Nortz,
Here.
Legislator Moorhan,
Here.
Legislator Levicker,
Here.
Legislator Osborne,
Here.
and Legislator Nellenbach,
Here.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the invocation and the pledge, and Legislator Calamus will lead us in the invocation.
Gracious and loving God, as this year draws to a close, we thank you for your guidance and your grace for this past year. Lord, and we pray for wisdom and discernment and strength as we get ready to navigate the coming year ahead. Guide us in our decision-making, Lord, that we may seek unity over division, understanding over discord, and peace over conflict, and to look for the common good for everyone of the county. We ask this in your name. Amen.
So we had a public hearing scheduled for tonight, but there will not be a public hearing tonight due to updated information that we received on the property located at 6357 East Main Street, Village of Turin. The corresponding resolution number 242 will also be withdrawn. The November 5th board meeting minutes stand approved if there are no amendments. Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here that would like to make any comments? Order the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 6, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met, and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
So I'd like to move that, please. Jessica, second by Vinnie. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries. Clerk of the Board reports, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 resolutions were received from Greene County titled Supporting Licensed Dealers of Firearms Subject to New York's General Business Law, Section 875, and supporting the adoption of Senate Bill S. 8421 and Assembly Bill A. 8949-A by the New York State Legislature regarding increasing the age of eligibility for provisional or permanent appointment of certain police officers from 35 to 40. A letter was received from the Lewis County Republican Committee Chair, Michael Young, recommending that Ann M. Nortz be reappointed as their party's Commissioner of Elections in January 2025. A letter was received from the Lewis County Democratic Committee Chair, Cassie Robbins-Forbes, recommending that Lindsay I. Burris be reappointed as their party's Commissioner of Elections in January 2025. As a reminder, anyone wishing to attend the 2025 NISAC conference in February should let me know if they haven't already. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Standing committee reports. We'll start off with Finance and Rules with Legislator Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to report that the county clerk has started the process for remote pistol amendments with good success. Lewis County was awarded $500,000 in New York Main Street downtown stabilization funds for the Lyons Falls Elementary redevelopment into a mixed-use residential commercial facility. A landlord resolution roundtable will be held on December 17th at the Lewis County JCC Education Center from 5:30 to 7 p.m. This roundtable is focused on identifying and solving challenges that Lewis County landlords are facing. The annual ag inclusion period opened on November 15th and closes on December 15th. If anyone would like to apply to include their parcel or parcels in Ag District 6, please contact the Lewis County Planning Department at 315-376-5422. And I have three motions tonight. I move to cancel the December 2025 committee meetings due to the holidays. I make that a motion.
Moved by Tom. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
I move to authorize County Manager Tim Hunt and whomever is needed to send out an RFP for a fully insured health insurance plan for Lewis County employees. I make that a motion.
Moved by Tom Osborne, second by Tom Kalmus. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And I move to authorize County Manager Timothy Hunt to have the ability to override audit rejections up to an amount of $100 per invoice, with the details of the situation and override documented, and authorize possible disciplinary action for employees with multiple overrides. I make that a motion.
Moved by Tom Osborne, second by Jessica. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom. And we'll move to General Services with Legislator Moorhan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Elections has completed the certification of the 2024 general election. Building and Grounds is working with planning on a green energy grant for the purchase of battery-operated outdoor landscape equipment. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Questions for Andrea? Thank you. We'll move to Human Services, Legislator Moser.
Lewis County Public Health will have a flu and COVID vaccine clinic at the Lava Fire Hall this Thursday, December 5th. They're also offering free flu vaccines for all farm workers. The Lewis County Traumatic Loss Team won the Postvention Award at the statewide Suicide Prevention Conference in Albany on November 13th. Carla Hellinger and Matthew Morrow, along with Terry Morris from Essex County, gave a postvention best practices talk. Several times throughout the event, the team was mentioned and referred to as the gold standard for postvention practices in the state. Office for the Aging still has some seniors available for Santa for Seniors program. If you would like to contribute, please call the office at 315-376-5313. And I do have one motion. I would move to accept changes to the Youth Bureau Advisory Board bylaws as submitted to the Board of Legislators.
Moved by Jess. Do I have a second? Andrea, discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. And we will move to Legislator Nortz, who is our board's rep on the Hospital Board of Managers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Managers met November 21st. At that meeting, they recognized Malia Fail as the Employee of the Month. Also, too, there was a gain of $348,000 versus a budgeted gain of $370,000 for the month. The year-to-date gain is $2.7 million versus a budgeted gain of $256,000. I have some statistics for month of October. Ambulatory surgery was the highest it's been in 13 years. Total OR, highest in over 10 years. SLCH, the South Louis Health, was their highest all time. Nurse practitioner Bates, I've got that right. Nurse practitioner Bates was highest of all times, and South Louis County was the highest of all times. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Kayer for his comments.
All right, thank you. I would also like to acknowledge that the board recognized the Director of Social Services for the health system, Margie Grant, who retired at the end of November after 30 years of service. Under generative discussion, I presented the board with pledges and governance excellence In the work plan for 25, we're going to be focusing on governance and how to enhance that attribute for our board of managers. And historically, they've been very open to this sort of discussion and education. Under strategic focus topic, the director of our foundation, Joanne Rupert, gave her biannual report to the board. It was a busy year, and it ended a couple of weeks ago with the gala, which was very successful this year. As Mr. Nortz expressed, it was a very strong reporting period for the health system. And I think we're going to finish the year in a really being one of our strongest years in recent memory. But it really illustrates that since the end of the COVID period, we've bounced back. And that's the message that I take from that. But we continue to recruit for certain specialty positions and hope in the not too distant future we will have some good news to share with you. We have made an offer too, and it was accepted for a chief compliance officer and director of operations. It's a single position with two primary functions, and Jennifer Wendell will be joining us on January 6th. Last but not least, been working on a succession planning tool with the management team, and it's really a point in time survey, if you will, for the board of managers to understand where senior leaders are and the leadership team is with regards to our point in service, so that we don't wake up one day and, you know, a quarter of the team has suddenly retired. So we have some timelines. We know who's leaving when, and so we'll continue to evolve that tool for our work plan. And unless you have any questions, that would be the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Jerry. County manager report. Tim?
A few things. First of all, Cassandra mentioned the NISAC conference. If anybody's thinking about attending, it would be a great opportunity to have our presence there. And you can learn a lot about what's going on in other counties and ways to do things. So I'd strongly encourage people to go if you could. This Friday at 3 p.m., the Lewis County Snowmobile Association will be having its snowmobile safety kickoff up at Snow Pails. And I would encourage your support in that. We're hoping for a really good snowmobile season and a safe snowmobile season this year. So let's go up and support the Lewis County Snowmobile Association. Joan and I have been meeting with codes to streamline the property code violations and try to avoid the condemnations. And I think those meetings have been going pretty well. And I think, you know, we're starting to get a good flow and a good process. The idea is to intervene with property codes early in the process before we have to get to a condemnation. And so I think we're starting to move in that direction. So I think that's going well. Glenfield Complete Streets project is done. I would encourage everybody to go look at it, but you can't. It's covered in snow. We were supposed to have a walk on Monday, and obviously we couldn't do that. So, but it is complete other than the street lights, which when they get here, they'll install those. So, and then I just wanted to shout out to all the village, town, and county highway crews, first responders. I know the Lewis County Fire Departments have been very busy through this storm, and that's what makes our community, is everybody pulling together through those storms. So I appreciate everything they've done. Thank you.
Questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim. And we'll move to the treasurer's report. Eric?
I do not have a report this evening. If you got any questions about my written report, or I did send you an email update earlier today, happy to answer anything you have.
Any questions for Eric? Okay, report of the Financial Rules Committee per Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $4,864,798.58 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Someone like to move that, please? Moved by Vince. And second, Josh. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Resolutions. As I mentioned, number 242 is being withdrawn. And consent resolutions, the individual ones that we're going to vote on separately are 241, 248, 250, and 256. Are there any others that someone would like to vote on individually? Could I have a motion to move the slate of consent resolutions forward? Moved by Tom Calmus. Do I have a second? Herb? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
The first one is Resolution 241, and that is auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $4,864,798.58.
Moved by Andrea, second by Jeff. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself. There are no payments payable to me, but there are several payments based upon vouchers, which I approved.
Okay, please note that. And this is a roll call.
Legislator Frost,
Yes.
Legislator Nortz,
Yes.
Legislator Leviker,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne,
Yes.
Legislator Calamus,
Yes.
Legislator Lindecker,
Yes.
Legislator Moorhan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
Legislator Dolhoff,
Yes.
Resolution number 248 is fixing date of public hearing on the addition of the OHV trail system as it relates to the Michael Dolhoff property.
Someone like to move that? Moved by Tom Osborne, second by Josh. Any discussion? And
I was,
recuse-
sorry. I was just wondering how much of it was already built. Is it existing or do we have to build it or?
So this trail was always used before, but it was never signed on by the landowner. So when my son bought the property, he just wanted to continue the use of it as it was originally. Only wanted to formalize it. So I will recuse myself on this one. Any other discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
Resolution 250, which pertains to the local law introductory number 4-2024. And this is a resolution to set the public hearing.
Would like to move that? Vince, second by Andrea. Discussion. So this is, if you have a map in your head of Branningham, the Branningham Road was only open to the Van Arnhem Road, and they were using it illegally to get to this trail that we just discussed. So this formalizes the actual road opening of the Branningham Road that I think it's 0.6 miles of road to get to that trail. Any other discussion? I will recuse myself on this one as well. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries.
And the last one is Resolution 256. And this is a resolution authorizing county treasurer to make necessary budget transfers.
Someone like to move it? Andrea, do I have a second? Herb? Discussion.
Will we get a final list of what went where, so we know?
Yes, we can do that. And just information for your legislators or any of you, one of the things that is required is that we do not have any accounts, any line items that are over budget at the end of the year that any legislators have approved, ensuring that we have enough appropriations to cover every expense. So at the end of the year, we clean up accounts, and it could be some accounts that are $300, $10 over budget, sometimes very minor. And it doesn't happen often because departments are not allowed to charge an expense if they're over their budget. There are other accounts such as payroll, which that rule doesn't apply. A department does go over budget and payroll, but we have to make those balance also. So that's what the process is about. And yes, we can provide you a list.
Thanks.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Eric, in that final report, will we have the final fund balance of what's after everything's balanced out?
Well, two notes from that. I mean, the list of those budget transfers, it often probably takes until end of February, March to finish that process. And fund balance comes after that. We really close all of the books and when we're prepared for audit. So looking at early April for fund balance, but yes, you certainly can get that information at that point.
As a point of reference, when we pass the budget, that's our plan of what we want to do. When Eric's done with all of that, we have to file a form with the state called the AUD, and that's what actually happened even after all these transfers and everything. And that's what gets published on See Through New York when everybody goes on there and can see exactly what we did. And it would probably be a good thing to share with the legislators is the AUD when we're done at the end of the closing of the books, because that is exactly what happened versus what we planned to happen in the budget.
Any other questions? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. That, I believe, is the end of the resolutions. Do we have any other business to conduct? Vince?
Mr. Chairman, a question has been raised to me, and I haven't been able to find it in the minutes. Back in November, Resolution 219, I thought we passed for Barton and LaJudas for $73,900 to be the central clearing thing. Was that passed, or did we pull that? Because I can't find a record of what happened to that.
There were two resolutions, so I'm not sure which one. So one of them was for Barton and LaJudas to do all the engineering services on the bridges and the work for all of the towns.
Right.
That one passed, and they are doing that. We've had a meeting with them just this last week. We've been meeting with FEMA on a weekly basis. There was another resolution to have Barton and LaJudas do what was called an H&H study for the village drainage basin. That we have not moved forward with. We're trying to get our arms around what FEMA is going to reimburse us for and who's going to be responsible for what they don't reimburse us for.
I wasn't sure. From what I read of the Resolution 219, it was just Barton LaJudas. It didn't break it up into that aspect. So, but that is still ongoing, or okay.
Sorry. And it'll be ongoing. I'm going to guess for a couple of years. We outlined the scope of work for them. We've got it approved by Dishes and FEMA, what their expectations are, and they're working on now completing that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone have any other business discussion? If not, looking for a motion to adjourn. Tom Kalmus. I have a second. Herb Frost. All in favor? Is anyone opposed? We are adjourned.